Right, let's podcast. We've podcasted this week.
It's our comeback special. It's like the Elvis comeback special in Las Vegas.
I was getting really itchy feet as well. I was like, but we need to do the podcast. It's therapy for us. Yeah, we've had a bit of a week, so apologies in advance. Apologies in advance? Would that work?
No. You apologised last week in advance.
Oh, right.
You it's this week.
This is how tired I am that I don't actually understand what I'm saying. But yeah, we've had a week, so sorry for the tardiness of the podcast.
Yeah, so we've had quite an ill weekend.
An ill weekend?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, in that we've had some illness.
Yes.
Like, you know when something's an ill wind, it's like,
well,
cursed or we as many of you will know, we've got a little boy who was very premature, and you do get some long-term consequences of prematurity, and we ended up back in hospital, which sounds very dramatic. It wasn't.
I don't think we were concerned, were we?
No.
But it was
just precautionary, to check him over because he has he's had an interesting start to life, let's say.
Yeah.
So we're fine. We're all home. Everything's fine. But it did mean that we didn't think it was particularly good if we brought our podcasting recorder along to the hospital room and was like, we're just going to record our podcast while our son's not very well.
Yeah. Just pause it for the nurse coming in to administer drugs and yeah.
So yeah, but back and really excited to catch up with you because we haven't actually talked about stuff that we've been watching, and you've been watching some right weird old stuff.
You always say this. It's not weird. It's just normal stuff that everyone else watches.
But yeah, a weird old week. And also, maybe even more important than what's been happening earlier on in the week, a new mattress.
I don't think we need to talk about having a new mattress. Is that the nadir of our podcasting?
Well, you got so excited about it. I thought you might just want to talk about it on the podcast. Mark made the bed for, I'm going to say, possibly the second time since we moved into this house.
It's off. Nowhere.
I was like being really passive aggressive when I was in the other room. I was talking to Blake and I was going, Daddy's making the bed. Daddy doesn't normally make the bed. Daddy's only making the bed because we've got a new mattress.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
No.
You love the new mattress though.
Yeah, I mean, bit dangerous territory on podcasts and mattresses, isn't it? We should be waiting until one of them starts sponsoring us.
Oh yeah, do you remember that? Like, does that still happen now on podcasts? Because when they first started coming out, it was always X mattress. I'm not going to name them.
In case. It might. So not anymore on mine. It's all. At the minute, there is a weird habit on podcasts I listen to of Manscaped. Is this what I think it is? It is razors for intimate parts of men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So listening to podcasters you've known and respected for years talking about their undergrowth,
so they're coming on and saying, I've had it, because usually, like, if it's new, it's like razors and mattresses and things like that, and and podcasters, not us, get given new ones for free to like review, and then they say, I've had this razor and it's the best razor I've ever had. So are they now saying that people that you know and you listen to are now saying they've been doing I'm doing a motion with my hand that cannot be described particularly well on the podcast.
Yep.
But they are giving it a bit of a
getting through their lower thatch.
Yes. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That seems to be the next big thing. What used to be Squarespace, then it was mattresses, now it's
manscaping.
Ball razors.
Have you been tempted to get one? Is the advertising working?
I don't think we need to talk about my bollocks on
I was more sort of like the subliminal marketing, because we've got the new mattress. That's worked. I mean, probably over like 10 years of listening to podcasts, we finally decided.
Well, ask me in 2030 whether I
will do. Should we talk about television?
Yeah, let's.
Watching television.
So we're going to talk about Lovecraft Country again, which I don't think we anticipated was going to be like this weekly thing.
No.
But we're obviously watching it weekly, for you cannot watch it any other way.
Yes.
And we've got quite a bit to say about it, I think.
I do.
Yes. So we've done episodes 1 and 2 in previous podcasts, because we've had this bit of time away from podcasting, probably like 4 days or something. It feels like months.
Yeah.
But because we've had the little bit of a gap, we've now watched episodes 3 and 4.
Yes.
So do you want to start? Because we honestly, we've not talked about this at all.
I am so frustrated by this show. One of the best pilots I've ever seen turned into an episode where it was essentially an episode of Scooby-Doo. And then the next one was an episode of Indiana Jones Chronicles. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. I didn't have a problem with the Indiana Jones / National Treasure episode, which was episode 4. And I really didn't have a problem with it's a ghost story, a ghost haunted house, like you say, Scooby-Doo, of episode 3. I really like how they are taking well-known genres and plonking it into that context of America in the 1950s, looking at the point of view of the black community and looking at how they are having to deal with racism and other such vile things.
If I understood that that's what this show was going to be from the first episode, I might be thinking differently. But when the show opens up, episode 3, and someone's like, well, bought a house, inherited some money. What is that? That is an episode of Scooby-Doo. That is the beginning of an episode of Scooby-Doo. And that's not what I wanted from this show. I wanted a slow mystery that was being built out, and that's what they hinted at in the first episode. But what they actually do is they do a genre piece where they hint at what the next episode is going to be. And so the mystery was all played out in episode 2, and they introduced like one of the characters who I'm not going to spoil it, but is involved in the purchase of this mystery house. And then in that episode, they kind of hint at the journey that they need to do to go on the Indiana Jones type mystery. I am losing my patience with this. And
you're not out though, are you?
I'm not out, but it's gonna be something to background watch. I'm done with giving it a lot of attention.
I found episode 2 difficult for reasons that we talked about back in that podcast. Episode 3 I really enjoyed once I knew what it was and once I sort of got to grips with what this show is about. And episode 4 I loved because of all of those programs and TV shows and films that we've talked about before. I really enjoyed it, and it struck me also, and I think it's meant to. It strikes you that you don't see a haunted house story where all the characters are black. You don't see an Indiana Jones where all of our protagonists are black, and I think it's incredibly striking when you look back at the National Treasures, when you look back at just how lacking in diversity those films are. And I think it really slapped me across the face, actually. I'm saying, I don't see this regularly on my screen, and that is like, it's appalling when you think about it. And that's what I take out of it. It's educating me, it's telling me a story, and I appreciate that.
This is how torn I am over it, because this is still an exceptionally well-made TV show. It's just not the TV show that I want to watch. If I understood what this was going in, I might be having a completely different conversation with you right now. But I wanted a slow, revealing mystery like Lost, and that's what I thought I was getting.
Yeah, you're not getting that.
No. And when it opens up and I'm like, oh, it's night at the museum, I'm just like, I'll play with my phone and just keep an eye on what's happening.
Maybe this is the difference between you and me, because I really love anything. When it came on, I was like, oh, it's night in the museum, and you just sighed. And I went, oh, it's National Treasure, and again, you just looked not happy.
I mean, National Treasure, yeah, I'm never happy at that. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, sorry, Chris. Right, okay then. So next week, I have heard on the grapevine, is meant to be the best episode, or one of the best episodes.
I have heard that too, probably from the same source you have. So
agreed.
We'll see. I will watch it, and I've got a slight understanding of what happened, which is disappointing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this isn't for me.
Okay.
or it's not for me in the mood I wanted.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well.
You looked very sad at that.
I was about to say I feel sad, but I don't know why. So that's really great analysis, isn't it? And I feel we should say that for anyone who's listened who's never listened to another episode, that when we're saying hi to Chris, it's our friend Chris who does a podcast about Indiana Jones in IJ in the UK, and also is a fan of National Treasure, as am I. So hello, Chris, again. Just thought I should explain that for anyone who's not listened to us before. It's the teacher in me coming out. I feel I need to explain every detail.
Okay.
Right, next, what we're talking about.
So, the boys are back in town. Oh, God.
Oh, no, we're the same person.
Yeah, time to end this relationship.
Oh, thanks. bit mean after the week we've had.
So, season 2 of The Boys.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime's one of their flagship shows, I think.
What is can you give me a rundown of what The Boys is? Is it something to do with superheroes?
So The Boys is Avengers. It's a TV show about the Avengers, but not the Avengers. If the Avengers were run by a massive corporation and some of the Avengers were actually dickheads. So
is it a satire? I got the feeling that it was meant to be sort of comedic satire.
Yeah, like so anything where you get people with superpowers being pricks to each other, there is something that is quintessentially comedic about that. It's set in a world where there are certain people, like the X-Men, with superpowers. There are 7 of them that are chosen to be like the headline superheroes put forward by a big corporation, and they are all over the media. They have cartoons about them. They have they're faced on cereal boxes. So there's probably 2 parts of satire on it. There is the people who are helping, but actually really selfish and self-centered. And then there is the corporate world of, oh, we need to do this just so we can market them better. And everyone is having a lot of fun in this. So it stars Carl Urban. It stars Jack Quaid, who is the son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid.
Oh, really?
2 of the superheroes in the 7 is Anthony Starr from Banshee. No.
I'm looking blank.
You've seen Banshee.
I haven't.
You've seen bits of it. Anyway.
I can't remember it.
He's lead character in Banshee, and he plays Homelander, who is essentially a Stars and Striped Superman, who is a little bit sociopathic. And Erin Moriarty, who you will know as the girl that David Tennant's character had a holdover in the first series of Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
She plays Starlight, who is a replacement for a retiring superhero. It hits on every single part of modern life. Sometimes it hits well, sometimes it doesn't. So in the first episode of the first season, there is, as she is coming into auditioning to join the 7, she is hit by what can only be described as a Me Too moment. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the first time it's been referenced in a mainstream TV show that I saw. And though it's shown that the person who is doing it is ostracised, he gets punishment, but he's not necessarily shown as being. He's shown as being sort of almost a small, weak character, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the people I know about that were suffering through Me Too didn't have that sort of experience of their attacker. So it didn't sit right with me. Where this show succeeds is the characters interacting with each other, just being dickheads. There is a band of vigilantes who are trying to take down the 7 and their parent company. I get pretty bored when they're on screen. They're not pretty well-drawn characters outside of Carl Urban and Jack Quaid's character. There's a couple more people, and we're expected to get storylines, and I don't care when they're on screen. But this is so much fun, and I think you'd like it if you watched it, because it doesn't necessarily do the corporate culture as well as, say, Succession, but then what does? But yeah, I think fun is the best word I can describe of it.
I don't really like fun, Mark, as you know. I've just not been drawn to it at all. I think comedy It's not my bag really.
It's
normally.
more action than comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of Ant-Man rather than.
See, yeah, that it's not. It's a bit light and fluffy for me. I like dark and
You
miserable.
literally really enjoyed Ant-Man when we watched it.
It was all right. I wouldn't watch it again. So it's season 2 now.
Season 2 now. It's on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
So they started it. Normally, Amazon Prime just puts everything on at once when it's an Amazon original. They've now moved to putting the first 3 episodes on the first week and then one a week after that, which I think I prefer because you now get to a stage where people can binge it if they want, they can hold it back if they want. But you do get to a point where if you're watching it with people, you get that, did you watch the episode last night without having to do what bit are you up to? Are you up to episode 7? Which one's episode 7? Is that the bit where oh no, I can't say that? Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoy it. There's a romance storyline which I really got behind and really wanted to see the 2 characters together. Everyone's likeable, even when they're being pricks.
Lovely. So it's out now, season 2. I feel we should do this more. Season 2 out now on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Can I talk about a show that we never thought we would talk about on the podcast?
I'm going to switch off if you're talking about Gregg Wallace.
Well, Mark.
Unless we're talking about buttery biscuit bases, then...
I am indeed talking about Gregg Wallace, but sadly not about his buttery biscuit base. I'm going to talk about Eat Well for Less, which is now in its 7th... Stop shaking your head. It's now in its 7th series.
We should never have come back.
On BBC One. And it's Gregg Wallace and Chris Bavin, I think his name is. I feel like I want to say Bavin, but I think it's Bavin. Going into people's homes, or indeed following them around the supermarket in a bit of a Dale Winton supermarket sweep throwback, watching them put things into their trolley and then going, oh wow, look at the salt content in that, oh look at the chocolate, I mean, heavens above, if they saw our trolley, I don't know what they'd do, but then helping them to, as the title suggests, eat better, better in terms of nutrition, but also to save money as well. I love this show. I really, really do. What I love about it is there's no judgment on the people who are taking part. So obviously they've chosen to take part, and they often come with varied life experiences. So for example, the first episode of the new series will follow the Macbeth family. Fabulous name. And you've got Holly, who's the mum, and she's got her 2 sons, Fletcher and Spencer. And she's very time poor. She's using a lot of microwave meals because she's got a lot on her plate. And we find out more about the family, that one of her boys has cerebral palsy and the other has been recently diagnosed with autism. So she has had a lot going on in her life. And she's also saying that she's snacking a lot because she's just grabbing stuff because she's put everything into her boys. And I think it would have been really, really easy for them to sort of say, oh, microwave meals, what are you doing? Look what you're doing to your children. Oh, one of your sons never eats breakfast. What kind of mum are you? Really, really easy to do that. And I think television at one point in time was really going down that route, wasn't it?
Yeah, poverty porn.
Absolutely judgmental. Something for something. Get on the hashtag and berate that mum. And it's not like that at all. I find myself feeling a real resonance with Holly because there are times where I don't want to stand in the kitchen, mushing carrots and pureeing. There's all of that. When you're rushing around, when you're doing stuff, you want something that's quick and easy. And particularly when you've got children with additional needs, you are time poor and you have got a lot emotionally on your plate, as well as physically.
Yeah.
I felt a real resonance when she was going around the supermarket putting things into the trolley because her sweet pile, and Greg and Chris were like, oh, look at all those sweets. Her sweet pile was nowhere near the sweet pile that I would have in my trolley. Every 5 minutes getting a Freddo for, just from energy to get through the day. And I think I ate 3 Freddos one morning the other day. Just as almost like like you would have a cup of tea.
Yes.
It's like, right, I've got another hour to get through. I'll have a Freddo. Not sponsored by Freddos. Wish I was. So, this programme could be absolutely one thing, but it isn't. And it not only educates you into the little swaps that you could make, it's not a whole lifestyle overhaul because no one's going to follow that. It's just saying, why don't you swap that for that? And actually, by the way, the coffee that you think is your coffee, we've given you a different one for a week and you didn't know the difference, and look, you've saved £3 odd per tin.
It's not a swap for me.
It's not a swap. That was so funny, because it was actually, funnily enough, it was Mark's coffee, and they swapped it to, I think it was the coffee that your mum and dad brought up last time. It was exactly the same brand, and you're so obsessed with your one coffee brand that you wouldn't swap at all, would you?
I could do the Pepsi challenge on that any day.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Taste of gravy. Which is nice.
Yeah,
it's not what I want first thing in the morning.
Northern boys love gravy.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Any idea where that's from?
No.
Oh, well done.
You just say it all the time, and therefore I regurgitate it. Yeah, I think this is a great show. They seem to be, I think there's single mums again next week. I hope they don't just keep going down the pathway of single mums. I'd like to see some single dads. I'd like to see some families of all types. To not just concentrate on women on their own with kids. I think we'd really like to see lots of different types of family.
See, I find this show is at its best when it's proper middle class, 2 Range Rovers on the drive, and I think it's probably that punching up thing where they spend £500 each week on their shopping, and you can get to go, what? Them pricks are spending ready-made,
You've just
ready-cut onions.
Totally undermined my whole point about it not being judgmental.
I don't think it's true, because it doesn't punch down. I think it has a tendency to punch up, because I think you can look at people who can save 10 grand a year on their shopping by just not getting cart door. What cart door?
Why
no one's at cart door.
Is that the only example you can think of? As like an aspirational product.
Cart door is not aspirational at all. Haagen-Dazs was what I meant to say.
You can get it on offer.
Haagen-Dazs choc ices was what I was about to say.
Well, I think it's great. And I really recommend it to anyone out there who likes this sort of thing. Just looking at how you can save a bit of money, you can boost your nutrition a little bit. Yes, it's funny. I know we're laughing about it, but it's a great show for a lot of reasons.
It's not great. Come on.
All right, it's great if you're someone like me who likes having a little peek into someone else's life. See what's going on there and learning something out of it as well. I like the lived experience aspect of it.
Fair enough.
There you go, I've finished now.
Do we need a new bit of music for when I go to the cinema? Or when we go to the cinema?
We might have to, because it's not really talking television anymore, is
No.
it? It's talking cinema. Doesn't quite work.
Should we rip off a bit of Alien Ant Farm?
Oh yeah, that would be really, yeah. Maybe we should.
And cue. Well, if Elaine did that, then you'll have just heard of a clip of Alien Ant Farm.
That's a throwback, isn't it?
Yeah. So, 2 weeks ago now, I went to the cinema.
Again.
For probably the second medium release since cinemas have reopened, The New Mutants. Safe to say, I went in expecting the worst, because this has had an awful production. I think it was filmed over 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's 4 plus.
Yeah, you can tell because the cast look very, very young.
Especially Maisie Williams, who's in this. I've only seen the trailer and the TV spots that have been on, but she is the same as Arya, same age-wise as Arya in something like the second to last series of Game of Thrones.
Not even that. It was probably even earlier. It was when she was messing around with the faces
and
things. Yeah, can't tell you anything. I've forgotten Game of Thrones already. But yeah, so I went in kind of just wanting to see, just kind of make sure that they have actually made a film of this, and because it's gone through so many reshoots and re-edits, and
I wonder whether it was of more interest to you because it has this background to it. So actually, people are just a bit oh, let's have a look, let's see, a bit intrigued about. And also, if you promised a car crash film, people also like that as well.
I went to see Cats.
Yes.
I'll just put that out there. I went to see Cats. So, like The Boys, this is it's a spin-off of the X-Men, and at various points in the script, this had Professor X in it. It had members of the X-Men in this. They didn't survive the final draft of the script, but there are references to X-Men and storylines of the X-Men in this, so just to make people aware. The central character is played by Blue Hunt, who is a Native American, still on a reservation. She has to flee the town, and she wakes up in a private facility with other people who have been identified as being mutants and having special abilities, though they don't necessarily know what. It's 90 minutes long, which instantly gets a star on it.
I can just see take over the top of your head.
And in many ways, although it's nowhere near as well made, I prefer this to Tenet.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
I enjoyed this more than Tenet.
I don't know what to say to that.
Well, I understood the plot line for a start, so that's good.
You understood Tenet more than me. You had to explain the whole plot of Tenet to me.
Yes.
Is it not because Tenet's thinky and this isn't?
It's probably just expectations. I think the thing of this is essentially a horror film. It's a very small, insular cast. There is only maybe 6 people in the entire film. Probably a few more, but maybe 6 named characters. There isn't a big final battle where they all team together to beat up the baddie.
So it's not like your
crashing into buildings. Yeah, and
X-Men
it's
film.
taken not even standard hero film.
Standard Avengers, yeah.
How many times have the Avengers done something different? I don't think they ever have, and I really hope that this is where the Avengers go to. I think we spoke a couple of weeks ago about how you're just sick of the Avengers, and I'm looking for something new from them. And I really hope this is the way it goes down. It's not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination.
Did you get the sense, sorry to cut you off because I know you've just gone, but did you get the sense that this had been chopped about? Because that's the rumour that was out and about, that this film had such a poor production, that there were reshoots, that there were cuts made, that there were things put in. Did it feel like a jigsaw that wasn't quite coming together?
Not in my mind. And I went in knowing that. So while I wasn't necessarily strictly looking for it, I was aware that it was there. So, but no, it seemed like a decent story. It goes in a logical manner. People's abilities are revealed over time. There are little references that you maybe wouldn't get as a casual fan about who people are that are referenced, but which might play into the plot line. But nothing that anyone who's seen all the X-Men films wouldn't get. Maisie Williams is good in this. Anya Taylor-Joy is good in this. Charlie Heaton is in this. He does an accent that is somewhere close to Yosemite Sam in it.
Okay.
And at times it's all over the place. Blue Hunt, who is the sort of main character that's followed around, is really, really insane. I've not seen her in anything else, but I'm...
Yeah, who is she?
So, if I'm clicking on this, top thing is the New Mutants. She was in a TV show called Another Life. Looks like a Netflix TV show with Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica in by the looks of it.
Okay.
And no, I don't think there's.
Oh well, maybe this will be the thing that.
I hope so.
Forward, then.
I hope so, because she seems like a really decent character, character actress. There has been criticisms of it for certain whitewashing of characters, which I can't comment on because I've not seen the original material. It's disappointing if that's the case. One thing I would say in its favour, there is a LGBT relationship which isn't played for like lasciviousness or anything like that. Is that the word?
That is the word. Wow. Yes, well done.
It's just played like as if it was just a boy and a girl or anything. It's just played essentially as normal, and 2 characters like each other, they kiss, and that's it. And then they hold hands a little bit later on. It doesn't. Yeah.
There's nothing huge made out of it. It's not.
It's
very positive.
It's not dangerous. It's not cruel intentions. Yeah. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really happy about that I went to see it. I think this is it for the X-Men franchise until they're going to get brought into the Marvel universe properly. And And it probably needs to be the end of the Marvel thing. But I wouldn't be devastated to see another film of these people if it was to exist, which it almost certainly isn't. Because people are now 5 years older than they were then.
You wonder now, because it has been getting positive reviews, or at least sort of like people going, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. How the studio feels about this, because I think they put it out as a dead duck. They put it out week of Tenant, or the week after Tenant, wasn't it? Thinking, we're going to hide this. We're not going to do any sort of interviews or anything like that. There's been no press for it, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
There hasn't even been like loads. I mean, the Tenet trailer's on every 5 minutes on the telly, but you're not getting the New Mutant ones, apart from, like I said, a couple of TV spots I saw. And I think, to be honest with you, I'm calling them TV spots, but I think I saw them on Twitter. Okay. So it hasn't had the big push that some of the other films have had. But now, what do you do as a studio with something that you thought you were burying, which actually isn't getting? You know, you're saying you enjoyed it more than Tenet. I'm sure you're not the only one.
I mean, you've got to put expectations in this. You know, like I say, Tenet is a better film, but given the expectations, I gave this 3.5 stars. I gave Tenet 2.5 stars.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, it's now Disney that owns this, so because they bought out Fox. Right. Interestingly, the title card was Fox Films rather than 20th Century Fox. Quite sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it works. I've seen poor reviews. I've seen people say, actually, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, you know.
And a decent night at the cinema if you feel that you want to go to the cinema, because I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with going to the cinema at the moment.
Yes.
But if you felt that you were, and you knew, you know, we know we've got a good cinema that's very safe near us, and we're feeling comfortable going there. And if people, why are you laughing at me?
I'm going to say, because we're going to face the music this week.
Oh, we are, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
We're going to go and see Bill and Ted.
Yes.
Yeah. Why was that funny when I was making a point about the cinema being safe?
I wanted to do a face the music and dance joke, and I was trying to think one in my head.
Okay.
This is what Elaine has to live with.
It's like a train of thought interrupting.
Yeah.
Right. So a good one to go and see, a good date night film.
It's a good date night film. It'll be on Disney Plus in 3 months, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure it will.
So yeah, check it out. Like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily something that needs to be seen on a big screen. But if you've got a cinema which you feel comfortable going to, you could do far worse than go to this.
Cool.
Like going to see Tenet.
No,
that's not true. I think Tenet needs to be seen more than this, but I enjoyed this more.
I want to go and see it again, and I still haven't had the chance.
Go see this.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, right.
I want
don't go see it then.
Right. How incoherent was that after a week of no sleep and slightly dramatic turns in our life?
I'm not happy with my boys' review, but I think it's on tape now, so I'm not going to go back to it.
Right then, let's finish up while we're still chatting normally.
Right then, let's put this to bed before we babble anymore.
And we could go to bed as well in the new mattress. Oh, I'd totally forgotten about the new mattress as well. Oh, just think, it's going to be so comfy.
And this is what I have to live with.
It's true. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Where are you? We got some work to do now. It's Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you? We need some help from you now.
Before you go, just a reminder that you can subscribe to the Honeymoon Period podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can join in the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for The Honeymoon Pod. Finally, if you like this episode and you think someone else would too, please share it. See you next time.